Once upon a time in a land far away, a time before the world strapped time to your wrist, there was an intelligent, strong willed young boy around 14 years of age. After learning all he needed to know about his village, about the neighboring lands, his father sent him on a journey to become a man. Sounds familiar, right? A typical hero's journey. He sent him on a journey to become a man, to discover the unknown world, to learn what he didn't know. 4 days in, through the thick of the morning mist, he approached a great city beyond the forest and the mountains. Huge castle walls surrounded the city. He said to himself, "Well, surely I can learn something new from the people and the older men here." But what happened after he entered the city surprised him. He discovered the people of the town terrified, frightened, depressed, and skittish to share any wisdom. He approached the city's horseshoe maker just as he entered beyond the walls. A wiry but chiseled gent with wisdom in his eyes, hidden, lurking behind the scruff of his beard. And the boy asked him, "Why is everyone so sad?" The reluctant horseshoe maker replied as sweat dripped from his brow. Today is the great day. Today is the day the giant comes." "A giant?" The boy scoffed in disbelief. "There's no such thing as giants." "Oh, but there is," came the quick reply of the horseshoe maker, as he looked down, dripping and ripping a nail from the horseshoe he was working on. "He stands 10 feet tall. So tall he can't rightly be called a man at all." Skeptical but intrigued, the young boy pleaded with the horseshoe maker, "Tell me more of this giant." The frightened horseshoe maker dropped his farrier tongs, spit into a bucket nearby, and explained to the boy, "Look, every year in the dead of winter, on the same day, he comes down from the mountain where he lives, stands at the edge of the city, and yells, 'Send out your bravest man to fight, or I will knock down these walls and kill everyone inside.' Each year, one poor soul steps into the breach to face the giant. A would-be warrior is mesmerized, frozen stiff at the size of the giant and the impossible task ahead of him. And year after year, the giant slays and dismembers each man where he stands. Before he even has a chance to draw his blade from its sheath, the warrior doesn't even move. It's as if he's hypnotized. Eyes wide with fascination, the boy asks, "Can I see this giant?" "The only way to see the giant is to face him on the blood-stained battleground at the edge of the city," proclaims a shoemaker. Still in disbelief, but eager to know more, the boy says, "Then it is my fate to face him." The next morning at sunrise, the giant's voice powers over the castle walls like the roar of a lion. "Send out your bravest man for me to fight, or I will knock down these walls and kill every man and woman inside." Unshaken, the boy rises, steps through the castle walls to confront the giant. With his hand just above his brow, keeping the glare from his eyes, he peers across the land to the other end of the forest at the foothills of the mountain. His eyes land on him, and sure enough, He's enormous. The moments go by, and he just stands there in awe. There was a rise in the land separating the two. He could only see the giant from the waist up. It was difficult to know exactly how big the giant was. But one thing was certain. The giant was taller than any man he'd ever laid his eyes on. And it was at that moment terror struck him just as it did his predecessors. The giant was real. He knew deep in his soul, facing him today, he'd surely die. He considered turning back, tucking tail and retreating behind the walls of the city. But he was a man of his word and gave it to the good people that he would face the giant. So with all the bravery and courage he could muster, he walked slowly, as if walking on eggshells, towards the giant. A few paces up the incline of the land, he gained a straight line of sight to the menacing figure before him, seeing him in full view. With this new vantage point, he noticed the giant was not 10 feet tall, as he first believed. Perhaps he was 7 feet. Either way, still a massive mountain of a man, but at least now in human proportions. He was still no match for the giant, but at least he would meet his defeat at the hands of something recognizable. With the element of the unknown out of the way, he sped up and walked at a more normal pace. Within 100 yards, the giant appeared even smaller. He thought to himself, man, is this an illusion? The giant now appeared not much bigger than he is now. The boy feels he has a fighting chance now. His pace quickened. Every step closer, he was certain this was no illusion. The giant was shrinking every step before his very eyes. He begins to jog. The giant keeps shrinking. The faster he runs, the faster the giant shrinks. Terror turns to hope. He recalls the families, the children playing, and the horseshoe maker behind the city walls. Hope elevates his confidence. Certain of his victory, he's now in a full-out sprint towards the giant. Reaching the middle of the clearing, the boy stops in his tracks. He's now toe-to-toe with the man from the mountain, who is now only 12 inches tall and still shrinking. The boy reaches down, plucks the giant from the earth like a weed, places him in the center of his palm. The giant continues to shrink. He only had one question to ask him before the giant shrank to a grain of sand and blew away with the next gust of wind. "Who are you?" he asked. The giant responded in a teeny, tiny voice. "I am known by many names. To the Chinese, I am Gongju. To the Greeks, I am Phobos. But to your brave people, I am known simply as Fear." The boy was sent out on a journey to learn to become a man, and it was at the great city he learned the greatest lesson of all. When you confront your fears with confidence, they'll shrink before your very eyes. Every man must go toe-to-toe with his giant, right? David faced and defeated Goliath, the Philistine warrior in the valley of Elah, with pretty much little to no armor. David collapsed Goliath to his knees with a stone hurled from his sling and then chopped his head off. Securing victory for the Israelites, improving himself by his valor and faith in God, to be the one true king of Israel. Jack faced his giant at the top of the beanstalk. After slaying the giant, he returns with 3 treasures, which ultimately serve the base for Jack becoming a man. Number 1, the golden harp, which represents Jack's calling in life, his work, and the thing he must do to live his purpose. We've talked about purpose in a couple of episodes. The golden goose represents the way for a man to make a living and to support his family. The rescued princess. This represents Jack's bride, his woman, the mother of his children. So I want to ask you, man, what is your Goliath? What giant in your life is keeping you from living your purpose and becoming the man you've been called to be? Because you have been called. I've mentioned this before. This is a statistic I came across. Dude, 400 trillion to 1. Dude, I'm talking to you watching. 400 trillion to 1. Those are the odds of you being born. 400 trillion to 1. It's not a mistake you're here. Okay, it's not a mistake that if you have children, it's not a mistake that you had those children. God willed for you, specifically you, to be born. Think about that. Think of all that 400 trillion to 1. Think of all the different combinations. Think of everything that had to happen for you to meet that one person. For your parents, right? For your parents to meet the other side, right? For your dad to meet your mother. Think of everything that had to happen for them to come together for you to be born. Right? As it said in Jeremiah, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Right? So in all the universe, God specifically chose you. Of everything, of all the different combinations, he chose you and willed for you to be born for a very specific reason. And he gave to you the desires of your heart. Right? Your own purpose, your own passions. And so this is stuff I'm really excited to dive into. I'm working on several other different segments of this channel. This is where I'm going to be spending a lot more of my time with my training, so you guys can see what I'm up to, providing more value, more material to you guys to hopefully help you to become the strongest version of yourself. Now, one quick thing, before we get ready to close out, did you notice that 2 of the 3 treasures Jack brings back from the beanstalk are made of gold? That gold represents more than just money and worldly riches. And it has everything to do with your initiation into your full manhood. So ultimately, you can get clear on your purpose and your gift to the world. Right? I'll be diving more into this in a future video. All right? But as far as training goes, today's a technical day. You can see I was still, working on. I just worked on double overhead deadlift. I've noticed something interesting with the double overhand. Something I'm going to experiment with. I noticed that I actually get into a better position. I attain a better position, a better wedge with double overhand. It's very interesting. I'm not sure why, but I seem to attain a better position with a double overhand. So something I'm going to experiment with. I might even have to eat some crow or something I don't know. I'm thinking about getting some straps just to see and test what my position will look like as I get into the heavier loads. But I believe pretty much what I worked on today was snatching, Zercher squat. No, that's the next lesson. That's the next one. Zercher squat, two-hand swing, military press. So here's something that kind of blows. So I'm behind a day because I lost an entire day's worth of footage. So the original day 18 was supposed to have me deadlifting 37 lifts. I did the training session, but somehow between me transferring the video into my file so I could, upload, somehow the file became corrupted. So you got to see me do more technical day stuff. Anywho. That's all I got for today, man. Zercher squats, two-hand swing, military press. Oh, the reason why I'm kind of adding these, it's like my first time you see me here doing more than just deadlift, is I started 75 hard again, and I'm going to be getting into more of that as well into these videos. Again, I kind of teased about it in previous video, why I'm doing that. Should you do that? What's it about? What does it all entail? So I'm doing phase 1 right now. So I've already completed the first 75 hard. I did that during the summer. And so now I'm doing phase 1. Okay, so I'm going to be getting more into that as these go along, but I'm actually going to create a specific segment talking about 75 hard, breaking it all down, should you be doing it, and again, what it's all about, that kind of deal. So I'm doing phase 1. This is just a 30-day cycle, and it requires 45-minute training sessions, 2 45-minute workouts. So for me, usually my first workout is I do an hour walk every morning to get my day started. And then I do my main strength session, which you see here. But my deadlifts don't take me very long. My deadlifts take me maybe 25 minutes tops, maybe. And so I've got to kind of fill in those gaps, that extra 20 minutes. So I start, I work on a little bit of mobility here at the end, working on my GFE, just working on some transitional movements. But then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to use that additional 20 minutes to kind of work on some skills. And so worked on my swing today. Worked on my press today. As you can see, like my elbow just sucks. My left elbow, just injuries with jiu-jitsu. I don't know if I've got arthritis, building up in there, but it just really sucks to rack the bell. And it takes a set or two for it to get warmed up to where I can get the bell all the way into the rack position. But that's just something I'm kind of working through. But that's what you're going to see here moving forward for the next several weeks is more integrated training with the deadlift. I'm still deadlifting every single day, but you're going to see me integrating a few skills. Like I'll be working on my press, I'll be working on my snatch, I'm going to work on the jerk, or I'm going to work on something else, just so that way I can fill that extra 20 minutes. And then I'll also be breaking down 75 hard as well. And but there'll be a full segment alone on that type of deal. So I'm really excited, man. I've got some really cool segments planned for you guys. Some stuff specific around kettlebell, stuff specific around barbell deadlifting. And so yeah, just really excited to start diving into that stuff with you. But hey, man, I appreciate you watching these videos. If you got questions about deadlifting, you got questions about anything else, just let me know. Drop something in the comments. Again, this is where I'm going to be investing the majority of my time. Moving forward. And if you're looking for a solid resource to help you to stay in shape, become the strongest version of yourself, check out our free ebook, Kettlebell Workout Snacks, and that'll point you in the right direction. All right, man. That's all I got. See you tomorrow. Peace.